Hello, this is Rod welcoming you to the 2018 edition of the Enfield Talking newspaper, Dateline 17th of September 2015. The readers this week are myself, Rod, and Joan, with Colin on the controls. The items that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, and are their copyright. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Fernand Boulon, Harry Brewer, and performed by Jean-Jacques Perry, and is used with his kind permission. Local stories this week include Faith's Rally Round to Help Refugees and PCSO cuts could decimate police. If you're experiencing any problems receiving your Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 0208 805 6578. She is your listener's representative and will be pleased to help you. Now over to Joan, who will read the first item of local news.
Faith's rally round to help refugees, and the groups pledge to offer help and support. Faith groups in Enfield are rallying to support thousands of refugees who have been forced to flee the war in Syria. Many are raising funds to support the work of aid agencies working with refugees in Europe and the desperately overcrowded camps in the Middle East. Some groups are also collecting clothing, food, and medical supplies. Others are looking at ways they can support refugees when they arrive in the UK. Southgate Synagogue in Old Farm Avenue, Southgate, is drawing up a list of people who can offer accommodation to refugees. Linda Cannon said they were also collecting money through the Jewish Benevolent Fund. Enfield's Muslim community is raising funds for refugees through their mosques. Mohammed Tariq Sadiq, CEO of Palmer's Green Mosque in Oakthorpe Road, said, "We are supporting two charities at present which work with refugees in Europe and the Middle East. One is bringing hygiene, food and clothing. Another, medical aid and food." Mr. Sadiq said, "We are very keen to support all these people regardless of their religion and keen to expand our work in this area." Enfield's Greek Orthodox community has held prayers and collections for the International Orthodox Christian Charities, which is providing food and other essential supplies, improving conditions at reception centres, and carrying out water, sanitation and hygiene activities on the isles of Chios, Samos and Kos, which in August saw 300 refugees arrive each day. One group which will have some first-hand understanding of what today's refugees are going through is the Borough Cypriot community. When Turkey invaded the island in 1974, thousands lost their homes and fled to England, while 200,000 became refugees with their own country and still are displaced. Councillor George Sabah said, "We hope and pray that a long-term solution can be found. We must never forget both Greek and Turkish Cypriots suffered so much. About 50,000 refugees came from Cyprus. The largest number settled in Enfield and Haringey." Speaking from Cyprus, where an aid container with clothes, shoes and other supplies had just been unloaded, Mr. Savah, who represents Hazelbury, "There are Syrian refugees here on this bus from a recent rescue," he said. He praised the work of the Cypriot Red Cross, which he said was making an amazing effort. St Anne's Catholic Girls' School in Oakthorpe Road, Enfield, has also become involved helping the refugees. They recently joined North London Citizens, an alliance of 45 institutions, including churches, schools, mosques, synagogues, charities, and universities, which pledged to work together on a range of social issues. NLC organiser Judy Master told the Advertiser, "The issue of refugees is a major priority for us. We are compiling a list of organisations and individuals that can offer accommodation, clothing, household supplies, toys, books, and above anything else, friendship. There are large numbers of unaccompanied children who will need to be settled in foster homes. These people have been through terrifying experiences, escaping Assad's bombs and the terror of ISIS. They have lost everything, their homes, their jobs, often family members. They need to be made welcome." Our Lady of Mount Carmel and St George's Roman Catholic Church in London Road, Enfield, has a lively justice and peace group which is becoming more and more involved with the refugee crisis. The group has already collected a van load of clothing, medical supplies, food and educational materials to be delivered to the camp at Calais by the Catholic Worker House in Matson Road, Haringey. The church is also collecting funds for the Catholic Aid and Development Agency, CABOD, which supports partners working in refugee camps in Iraq, Lebanon, and Jordan. Parishioner Tony Sheen, who also works for the charity, said, "I am moved by the sight of so many people fleeing for their lives. I could only imagine how terrifying the situation must be. It is time for us to stand up, show compassion, and offer our meaningful support to global brothers and sisters." Mr. Sheen urged readers to sign a petition at http://www.cavod.org.uk/campaign other issues/refugee action. One of the main aid agencies supported by Enfield's Anglican community is Christian Aid. The charity has funded organisations working in Syria, Iraq and Lebanon with refugees and the displaced for several years, providing communities with food, bedding, hygiene kits and health services. In Lebanon and Iraq, their partners are also working to provide psychosocial support to children and women in need. The charity has just launched a refugee crisis appeal, which will be sent to churches in the borough. To make a donation online, see http://donate.christianaid.org.uk/refugees.
PCSO's cuts could decimate police. All of Enfield's police community support officers could face the axe under new plans. Having already lost 122 in the past 5 years, the borough's 44 PCSOs are now at risk. the Metropolitan Police will consider plans to axe all borough-based PCSOs at its management board meeting on September 29th, it has been revealed. The cuts could see neighbourhood policing teams reduced to just a single police officer for each ward, despite having 6 officers, including 3 PCSOs, 2 PCs and a sergeant, only 3 years ago. Speaking out against the cuts, London Assembly member for Enfield and Haringey, Joan McCartney, said, "This is the clearest sign yet that the government cuts are decimating London's police force. Axing all of London's PCSOs would be the final nail in the coffin for neighbourhood policing and mean far fewer officers on the beat in our communities acting as the eyes and ears of the Met." Boris Johnson has already cut neighbourhood police teams from 6 officers to only 2. Axing every PCSO would leave just a single officer left to police vast areas of the capital. With at least £800 million worth of expected cuts hanging over the Met, there is a real question as to whether the police service as we know it will exist in 10 years' time. Across the capital as a whole, axing PCSOs entirely would mean over 1,000 officers lost from London's streets.
Former BBC staffer is now church vicar. The hectic world of TV news seems a far cry from a church ministry, but that's the background of the new parish priest at Southgate. The Reverend Dr. Crichton Limbert was installed as the 13th vicar of Christ Church by Bishop Peter Broadbent, acting Bishop of Edmonton, on September the 8th. The Reverend Limbert will be serving alongside Reverend Hazel Mile, who studied with him at St. Melita's College, the Anglican institution which specialises in training candidates for ordained ministry while they continue other careers. The new vicar worked at the BBC in news and current affairs from 1983 to 2012. "It was a great job," said Reverend Limbert. "I travelled all over the world." Among the programmes he worked on was Breakfast with Frost and Newsnight. Once, when working with John Sargent around the time of Mrs. Thatcher's resignation, the Reverend Limbert spotted Mrs. Thatcher coming down the stairs behind the reporter. I whispered in his ear, "Look behind you." Reverend Crichton is married to Judith, and they have 3 children. The decision to become a priest happened quite naturally. "I didn't have a career plan," said the Reverend Limbert. "My wife and I were both active parishioners in Berkhamsted, and I felt more and more drawn to the life." After some time of discernment, he was accepted for studies at St. Melita's College. For the next 3 years, he continued working at the BBC while attending evening, weekend, and summer courses. He resigned from his job in 2012, which was ordained, and worked for 3 years at All Saints, Leighton Buzzard. "It was a very busy community. I loved working there," he said. His family have been very supportive and are delighted with the move to Southgate. They have arrived at a very special time in the history of the parish. This year is the 400th anniversary of continuous Christian worship in Southgate, and there have been several special events to celebrate this. Beside weekly services, Christ Church has a choir, concerts, social events, and an annual fete. They also screen classic films with live music. Reverend Limbert says he feels his years of experience as a studio director will help him in his new ministry. Both require teamwork presentation, organisation and good communication. Most importantly, I want Christchurch to be an inclusive church where everyone feels welcome, he said.
Trent Park purchase imminent. The future of Trent Park Mansion will fall into the hands of a housing group, it has been confirmed. The Grade 2 listed mansion in Snakes Lane, Cockfosters was sold by Middlesex University in August 2013 to Malaysia's Alliance University College of Medical Sciences for £30.9 million, along with surrounding buildings. However, the university went into liquidation last May, leaving the site almost totally abandoned but for 2 security guards hired by the company. Barclay Housing Group is now primed to take over the site, which also includes former university accommodation. Councillor Jason Charalambos set up the Save Trent Park campaign, which generated enough support in an online petition to trigger a debate with the council to try and save the mansion. He said, "After years of uncertainty over the future of this enchanting and historic site, I welcome the prospect of much-needed investment to fully restore the historically important yet vulnerable heritage buildings and grounds at the heart of Trent Park. It is, however, of paramount importance that the new owners guarantee full and permanent public access to the listed mansion and surrounding grounds, and that the educational use of the site is maintained through, at the very least, a heritage centre within the mansion promoting the site's unique history. This unique site has the potential to become a nationally important historic and cultural attraction, and I trust that Enfield Council will do all it can to encourage this in planning negotiations with the developers." A spokesman for the housing group said, "Barclay can confirm that they have exchanged contracts with the administrators of Trent Park and are hoping to complete the acquisition of the site imminently. Barclay are committed to working with the community and Enfield Council to develop the most appropriate proposals."
New special school shop is on to help pupils gain skills. A former soap star patron is to attend, and this new charity shop based in Enfield will be opened by a special needs school. Westlead School in Hazelbury Road, Edmonton, want to help their pupils gain life skills and work experience at the new shop in Burley Way, Enfield. 3 years ago, they opened another shop in Edmonton Shopping Mall. Julian Holford, the community manager at the school, said, "The reason we set up our first charity shop 3 years ago was to help our children with life skills and gain work experience. We are expanding because the first shop has been really successful, but it's only a small building and can only have 3 or 4 people working at a time. The children loved doing it and even offered to come in on weekends. So with a second building, we can double the amount of pupils working and offer more work experience placements. The charity shop will sell clothes and furniture. It will also include a learning centre, and they are considering opening a special needs cafe." Mr. Halford said, "All the money will go back to the children and will be used to help plan residential holidays that happen every year. We recently took pupils to the Isle of Wight and Cyprus, which they really enjoyed, so we want to do that again. Wesley School is not a special needs school for the severely disabled. We cater for a different need and have pupils who can go and work and be able to get a job. Out of all of our volunteers, 7 of them have used us as a reference to try and get a job, showing that our charity shop work experience is effective." Actress and charity patron for the school, Anita Dobson, is due to officially open the school on September the 30th at 11:45 a.m.
Playground is taking shape. State-of-the-art playground equipment and new landscaping are all part of a £118,000 redevelopment project beginning in one of Enfield's popular green spaces. Money from Enfield Council, National Charity Fields in Trust and London Mayor Boris Johnson will be used to create a play space in Aldersbrook Park in Aldersbrook Avenue, including swings, slides, trampolines and table tennis areas. There will also be a general improvement of the wider green space with new trees and plants, plus a new graded slope leading to the play area. Councillor Daniel Anderson, Cabinet Member for Environment, said, "Aldersbrook Park is a well-used local park, but one in need of renovation. Once the redevelopment is complete, this park will be a haven for fun, boasting state-of-the-art play equipment and landscaped green spaces. I will enjoy returning when it's been completed." Josie Walden from the Friends of Aldersbrook Park said, "We are very excited to see that development work has begun after all the hard work the Friends group has done together with the local community. We look forward to seeing the finished results in November and of course to see the children's reactions when they get to play on the new equipment for the first time."
Tributes have been paid to a 16-year-old boy who died after being hit by a train at Enfield Chase Station just after midday on Sunday. An investigation is being carried out by British Transport Police into the circumstances surrounding the death of Frank O'Donoghue at the station in Windmill Hill. Paying tribute to the teenager, his brother, James O'Donoghue, wrote on Facebook, "Frank O'Donoghue, our beautiful son, brother, nephew, grandson and friend to so many, has passed away. We all loved him and he knew that he was loved. Please allow the family time and privacy to come to terms with the tragic loss of this very special young man." James had posted messages on the social media on Sunday evening and again on Monday, asking for help in finding his younger brother after he had failed to return home. He said, "I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who shared the posts and went out on the streets to help find Frank. We were all touched by your support. It was truly incredible to know so many people loved and cared for him. And unfortunately, on the 13th of September, my amazing, funny and clever little brother Frank passed away. He will be missed by all that knew him and has left a hole in our hearts that can never truly heal." The 16-year-old A-level student attended Highland School in World's End Lane, Winchmore Hill. Head teacher Bruce Goddard paid tribute to the fantastic student. He said, "Our whole school community is devastated at the sudden loss of our Frank. He was a fantastic student, a wonderful friend to so many at Highland School, and he was loved as much by the staff who taught him as by his friends. He had only just entered the sixth form, having achieved excellent GCSE grades, and he had so much to look forward to. Our love and sympathy go to all his family, who know we will support them in whatever way we can."
Baker is self-raising funds. A baking guru is raising money for charity by running a series of supper clubs to celebrate the foodie delights of the borough. Former Great British Bake Off contestant Urvashi Rowe, who runs the Library Cafe in Enfield Town, has organised an intimate supper club at Ecovino Teatro in the Dugdale Centre in London Road, Enfield, on October 3rd at 7 p.m. Urvashi, who recently organised a design a cupcake competition in Maryhill School, Bincote Road, to raise money for Action Against Hunger, is now hoping to raise more money for the charity by serving up vegetarian Indian delights to lucky diners. The chef and cafe owner is running the London Marathon in April 2016 for Action Against Hunger and hopes the Supper Club fundraising will help raise as much money as possible for the charity. Urvashi will be serving up 6 mouth-watering courses of vegetarian Indian food to her diners, many of whom, she says, will not have tasted them before as they are not usually served in restaurants here. She said, "It's home cooking that I've grown up with alongside some Indian classics." Phillip Hambleton, who founded the wine bar in Enfield's Dugdale Centre, will be providing 1 free glass of bubbly for each diner at the Supper Club. She said, "We are delighted to host Urvashi's Supper Clubs. The space is quiet and intimate, which is perfect for a supper club. We've collaborated with Urvashi to pair wines so diners can get a full learning experience from the match of wines with intriguing flavours. Anyone interested in supping fine wine and food in aid of charity can book a ticket at the event via www.eventbrite.co.uk/e/Animate-Indian-Supper Club-18510758176 or pay in cash at the Library Cafe or Ecovane Teatro Wine Bar. They can also tweet Urvashi directly at Library Cafe EN2 to book a spot. And for anyone who misses out this time round, Urvashi will be holding an Indian-themed event on Saturday, November 21st to tie in with the Diwali Festival of Lights, as well as a specific vegan dinner in January for Veganuary. Urvashi added, "There are a lot of vegans in the area, and in addition to the wonderful vegan wines on offer in the wine bar, we'd like to offer a fresh and interesting vegan menu that incorporates local producers such as Enfield Veg Company and Holt White's Bakery."
A library is set to reopen its doors after a year of refurbishments. Palmer's Green Library in Broomfield Lane will open again on Monday, September the 21st, with a host of new features. Interactive tables have been installed on each floor, and a booklet tracing the history of Palmer's Green Library has been published. The improvements are part of the overall of libraries in the borough, with 4 flagship libraries and 13 community libraries opening. Councillor Aifa Oran, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Education, Children's Services and Libraries, said, "This library has been transformed and people will be surprised and delighted when they see it."
We have now reached the end of side 1 of this tape. Please stop your machine now, take out the cassette, turn it over and start side 2.